Similarity is when we have two figures that are the same shape, but not necessarily the same size. We're going to look at two similar triangles in this example, so let's go ahead and get started. Here we've got two triangles, and in this particular problem we are told that they are similar, which means they have the same shape. We can see they're both right triangles, and they're generally pretty close to having the exact same shape. Because the problem tells us they're similar, we know we have exactly the same shape. Don't rely on the diagram. If you look at this diagram, this 16 line here looks longer than the 20. Don't look at the figure and say, well, something's totally wrong with this problem. That can't be right. Trust the markings, not necessarily the picture. If you're told they're similar, they are. And if you're told that this one is bigger than that one, then it is. And we're going to go from there. To find out how long is side X, we just use a proportion. And there's a couple of ways you can do this. You just want to make sure you make the parts correspond when you set up your proportion. Here's what I mean. One way you could set this up is, well, I could do 12 over 16 equals corresponding parts. Now, if I'm going to use 12 over 16, I need to use X over 20, and that's the proportion that I'm going to solve to find out the value of X. So as we work through this, we will cross multiply and have 16x equals 240. Divide both sides by 16, and we end up with x is equal to 15. That's how we use similar triangles to find a missing side. Now you might be thinking, well, yeah, you did the 12 and the 16 in the same triangle and the x and the 20 that were in the same triangle. What if I want to set up corresponding parts that aren't in the same triangle? Well, let's take a look. If we want to say, well, this 12 is in the same spot as that x, so I want to set up 12 is to x as 16 is to 20. Well, let's see how that shakes out. When we go through and cross multiply, we're going to get 16x is 240, and what do you know, look at that, I still end up with that same answer of x equals 15. So as long as your corresponding parts make sense, like if I want to do 12 is to 16 as x is to 20, that's going to be okay. Also, if you want to do 12 is to x as 16 is to 20, that's going to be okay. Just make sure that there is a relationship that you're creating when you set up your proportion.